Hello everyone, we're back. I'm back from the United States. Totally buzzing to be back, of course. I was just walking around Times Square, in that amazing life. Obviously thinking about you guys and girls and just knowing that I had to come home. So here I am. Pretty knackered, I'm not going to lie. I've had a lot of sleep. It doesn't seem to have done much for me. Got back kind of like really late last night after a long day of travelling. But Celtic are going to perk us up, and hopefully by the end of this video I'm feeling a little bit more alive. I was in New York, plenty of tall buildings there, here seen from the water, and here from the top of one of them. I'm never really going to run a travel YouTube channel, I think football certainly what I know about, and many people would probably dispute that. But yeah, anyway, a great time had in Philadelphia as well with the Plowboys CSC. The Eagles didn't quite manage to win the Super Bowl, which was disappointing, but you can't have it all. Plenty of good memories, so many of them over a few days, and I would encourage you to check out the videos that we put out from last weekend, especially the one on Sunday with the highlights from the Plowboys CSC 10th anniversary Fela, and hear some of the voices on that. So yeah, check that out. Let's get on with it then. So what's happened while I've been away? Let's just take a bit of a journey through the last, 5 days or so, all the way up until today's press conferences, and we'll finish with a bit of chat ahead of tomorrow's game, which is quite an interesting one at home to Aberdeen. We have drawn Hearts away in the quarterfinals of the Scottish Cup Saturday, with the game kicking off at 12:15pm live on Viaplay Sports. I was kind of hoping for a 5:30 kickoff. Maybe police have gone against that, just given the volatile nature of the fixture in years gone by. Interestingly enough, Scottish Cup rules allow visiting teams to request up to 20% of the stadium they're visiting for their own fans. Now, that obviously doesn't always happen. I think, police stuff is taken into account as well. But it does seem likely that the Celtic support will be occupying an entire stand at Tynecastle, the Roseburn end, as opposed to the now kind of traditional wee section we get in the corner of that stand. So it's worth bearing in mind. In other news, an end of the season tour of Japan is seeming more and more likely. There was a report earlier in the week saying Celtic are in for this. The likes of Manchester City, Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern Munich also said to be involved too. So that would be a pretty prestigious tournament if we are indeed involved in that. Ange has spoken about it in the past. I think when Australia was announced, which is like probably a year ago almost, I'm sure at that point he mentioned that he would like the team maybe to go to Japan as well. So I don't think it's a great secret that this is going to happen, but it's interesting nonetheless. Ange was asked about it today and said that it wasn't something that he was directly dealing with. We know that Ange tends to focus on football and matters. He was also asked about a supporters campaign, which at the moment I believe features the Green Brigade, the North Curve, Boys and Celtic shared, to turn the Jockstein stand into an iconic standing area. That is pretty much the story. A video was posted earlier today. The ambition is very clear, to expand the standing section, which currently sits at around, sits is a bad word, stands at around 3,000 capacity, I think just less than that, and they're wanting to make that much larger. The likes of Dortmund's Yellow Wall, Curvas in Italy, and the Anfield Cop were all mentioned as potential, examples that Celtic Park should strive for. I think this is a brilliant idea. I'm probably biased in saying that, and that I'm in the standing section for games at Celtic Park, most games at Celtic Park, not tomorrow, because I'm in hospitality, but we can maybe chat about that, and I can take pelters for that tomorrow. But for the vast majority of games, the standing section plays a big part in the atmosphere at Celtic Park. It's fair to say it's not the only place where atmosphere comes from. Directly opposite, and indeed other parts of the stadium, all contribute as well. But it's certainly the focal point, I think it'd be fair to say. And I think it would be a good move to have that behind the net and really turn that end of the ground into the Celtic End, which I believe, as you can see there, is the kind of identity of what they want to do going forward. It's not going to be easy though, and as much as I'm biased, I totally understand that some people in that stand, and we don't know the concrete plans, whether it would be the full stand or the lower tier or whatever, may have been in those seats for decades and may not want to move. So I think we have to have a proper discussion about it, but I think it's something we should have a discussion about, and hopefully we can find the best solution for everybody to make the atmosphere at Celtic Park as good as possible, because I think that obviously benefits the team, but also to keep as many paying supporters, season ticket holders happy as possible. So I'm well aware there might be a bit of a split in this, but I think we should look at it as a positive, that people are wanting to bring about more positive change at Celtic Park. I think the standing section is fantastic at Celtic Park. I think there's other clubs in Scotland and down south as well that would be very and will be very jealous of it. So I think any moves to expand it would be good if they're done in the right way with respect shown to everyone. Ange was asked about this as well, and again said that he hadn't given it any thought, but then went on to praise the support. And that was a bit of a theme of today's press conference, to be honest, but we'll come on to that in a wee minute. Other news, Nick Walsh will referee next week's cup final against Rangers. Oh no. With John Beaton on VAR. Oh no. In other news, Celtic manager Ange Postecoglou has called out controversial pundit Chris Boyd after some recent comments he made. Postecoglou said, "Growing up, I was a fan of Middlesbrough, so there is one pundit around here who is the worst ever player to play for Middlesbrough. That is why I won't..." Yeah, except that didn't happen because Ange Postecoglou isn't as petty as his Ibrox counterpart. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, just Google Michael Beale, Chris Sutton, and we'll move on swiftly. And stuff Ange actually did say today. He said Kyogo is good to go for tomorrow. Big sigh of relief there. Ange kind of played down the fears, to be honest. Said Kyogo had a similar injury last season that saw him miss one training session, no matches. So it seems like something similar here. So Kyogo good to go for tomorrow. One player who will miss out, in fact the only player I think, is David Turnbull. He picked up a knock in the win over St Mirren. So everyone else around for tomorrow's game against Aberdeen. A bit like me, I guess, over the course of this video. In fact, maybe the opposite of me. Ange did look more worn out as today's press conference went on, as question after question came in, quizzing him on comments made by Michael Beale twice. There was a question which included David Martindale as well. Ange was asked about the League Cup final, which he didn't really fancy previewing at this stage. He was also asked about the aforementioned cup tie at Tynecastle. Again, he said, "I've given it no thought." Yeah, it was one of those days where Ange pretty much answered every question in that kind of look. Yeah, that exact look you're seeing right there. He did actually say at one stage, "I wish I'd taken another week off," to be fair. That was in relation to the fact that John Kennedy had been doing media duties last week. So maybe we'll see Kennedy up in front of the mics more often as we go forward. It is Aberdeen tomorrow, believe it or not. They currently sit 7th in the Premiership. They won their last game over Motherwell, but had lost their 5 previous to that. Barry Robson is the caretaker manager at Pittodrie. I mean, I know he's the opposition tomorrow. I loved Barry Robson. Did anyone else just love Barry Robson? I mean, in terms of being an effective Celtic player and giving us some amazing moments, penalty against Rangers, elbow against Rangers, goal against Barcelona. I remember he scored with one of his, possibly his first touch ever actually, at Pittodrie against Aberdeen. I loved Barry Robson, and I think he was a huge part of his winning the title in that 2007-08 season. But he is the Aberdeen manager tomorrow, and he's got a big job in his hands for tomorrow's game. Recent away matches for Aberdeen: 5-0 they lost at Tynecastle, 6-0 they lost at Easter Road, they lost to Darvel as well, who I think are like the 6th tier of Scottish football. Their away form all season hasn't been great. In fact, they've lost 9 of their 12 away league matches. all season. So you may well assume that Celtic will just roll into town and win comfortably tomorrow, and you may well be right, but let's see how it goes. Games against Aberdeen have tended to be tight under Ange. We've won all 5 so far. 4 of them have been by just 1 goal though, a couple of those real late winners as well, and even the other one at the start of this season was just 2-0 to us at Celtic Park over them. So they always tend to be tight. I would love for us to absolutely blitz them tomorrow. I'll be honest, I think there's a fair chance of that happening given how well we're playing and how dire their away form is. I think if we get an early goal, their mental fragility may be felt, and we may really kind of see an opportunity to score more goals. But we'll see how it goes. We are in a really good place at the moment, but they're always good games against Aberdeen at Celtic Park. I mean, the crowds this season, I think, have been brilliant. I actually think they've been much better than last season. Not as many empty seats going. I think tomorrow it's going to be pretty full. Saturday 3 p.m. against Aberdeen, and really looking forward to it. Here's the predicted 11 I'm going for. Joe Hart in goals, a back 4 of Alistair Johnson, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Carol Starfelt and Greg Taylor. No change there. In midfield, Callum McGregor with Rio Hatate and Aaron Moy in front. Jota on the right, Maida on the left, and Kyogo through the middle, which, controversial statement maybe, I think is our best 11 at the moment, and it's the team I hope to see tomorrow, given that we haven't had a game for a week, given that the cup final isn't for 8 days after tomorrow's game. I think it's a good opportunity to really get a big win. Not that the recent wins haven't been big. Officiating wise, we have Willie Collum in charge of the game. Dougie Potter and David Doig are the assistants. Scott Lambie on 4th official duties. VAR is Alan Newlands, and assistant VAR is Graham Leslie. So it's all set up for a big game tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to being back at Celtic Park. And as I say, big crowd expected, and hopefully an interesting afternoon ahead. I do think we're going to win. I do think we're going to put on a show again. I just think this Celtic team is so relentless at the moment. But as we say, recent games against Aberdeen have tended to be quite kind of difficult, although we have always come out on top. So that's a long way of saying I don't really know what way it's going to go. But I will know after the game tomorrow. We will have a reaction for you post-match. So chat to you then, everyone.